everyone has a passion by definition, because you're alive, you have a passion. And the question is, are you aware of your passion? If you become aware of it, it can become your greatest weapon, your greatest opportunity, your greatest gift in order to change and impact the planet in a way that is so beautiful that you will become not just a millionaire in terms of wealth, let's say, but you will have a life-changing impact on people. Money will follow in the 7, 8, 9, 10 figures, whatever that is. Find your passion is not out there, it's inside you. And with that, you can ultimately crush it like many others have. But you have to become aware, develop yourself, and go on that journey. And entrepreneurship is the right track to unlock all of that.
Welcome to the Millionaire Maker Show, a podcast helping entrepreneurs scale their businesses online to create more time, more money, more freedom, and more impact. Now, with over 20 years of business building, coaching, and consulting experience, here's your host, author, speaker, and creator of the Millionaire Maker Funnel, Lindsay Anderson.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Millionaire Maker Show. I am your host, Lindsay Anderson, and I'm so excited for today's guest, Mr. Matt Bellmann. Now, many of you have probably heard of the software Matt was the founder and CEO of. That is Passion.io, a very powerful platform that will allow you to build a community, share your courses, and really make money online as a content creator. Now, Matt started out as an instructor on Udemy. He hated Udemy, so he moved to Teachable. He hated that, and that is where the real first version of the Passion.io project came from. Matt has vast experience working with creators one-on-one and has cracked the 7-figure mark and has built software to become scalable and cracked the 8-figure mark with Passion.io. During this interview, he is candid about the struggles he's had building Passion.io. He gives us a roadmap on how to monetize your expertise as a content creator and more. It was a real pleasure to interview Matt on the Millionaire Maker Show, and I'm so excited to hop into that interview. But before we get to that, I want to make sure that you head over to lindsayanderson.live and get signed up for my upcoming masterclass, the September Sales Surge. During this action-packed masterclass, I'll be sharing with you my 4-week action plan for record sales this fall. Come to the masterclass and leave with my step-by-step blueprint that will help you build your audience, nail your sales system, and close more clients now and into the fall. Time is of the essence. You have about 4 weeks here in order to get your systems ready to hit September. Once Labor Day hits, people are ready to invest and buy high-ticket services. And so you want to prepare now, and that's exactly what the September Sales Surge Masterclass is all about. Head over to lindsayanderson.live and get signed up for that masterclass. Now, let's hop into my interview with Mr. Matt Bellmann. Hey everybody, welcome to this very special episode of the Millionaire Maker Show. I'm so excited for today's guest, Mr. Matt Bellmann. Now, you may know him, you may have heard of him. He is the creator of Passion.io, a very successful app where you can go and build your own online app and provide courses and those kind of things for your online business. I'm so excited to have Matt on. Matt, welcome to the show. So excited to have you here.
Lindsay, stoked to be here.
Matt, my first question for you is, I've heard that you have traveled to over 100 countries. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. There was actually one trip which, in this trip over 6 weeks, I was able to get through a lot of countries, but in general, yeah, it was more than 100 countries.
That's pretty impressive, including a car trip.
Yeah, exactly. That was an exact trip. So what we did is it was a charity race to actually go from Munich, Germany, all the way to Ulaanbaatar, which is the capital of Mongolia. And that took us through 26 countries, 10,000 miles. It was 6 weeks, day and night driving. We were, in our team, 3. And there was always someone driving, someone was doing shotgun, and someone was sleeping in the back. And then we were rotating every few hours. And it took us through Iran, it took us through Ukraine, it took us through countries that are even not known, like Transnistria, which is the black hole of Europe, known for maybe Transnistrian wine, which is outside of Transnistria, classified as toxic. So
Ah,
it,
that's why it's the black hole of Europe. That's really interesting.
yeah, it's part of Europe and no one really talks about it. But yeah, that was a fun trip. And ultimately what we did is in Mongolia, it's really cold there, especially like 10 out of 12 months is really cold. And with the funds that we raised, we actually helped to create like, what is it? Like a house where kids can sleep during the winter, because in Mongolia, it's so cold that people, and especially also kids, some have to sleep in a storage system because there it's warmer than outside. With the funds, they were able to build some houses where then the kids can actually stay overnight. And yeah, and that was a really, I would say, life-changing trip. Back then, it was in 2011.
Sounds like that. Sounds like it. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about that, Matt. Now, you've built a really successful piece of software. Can you explain how that came to be?
It all started with my own frustration at Udemy. Actually, I became one of the big instructors on Udemy with more than 50,000 students under my belt. And back then, I had people from India and Pakistan cloning my courses and reselling them at lower price points. And then also Udemy was offering discounts every other week. And anyone that bought something for more than $5 essentially made a mistake, because you just have to wait for the discount to come, and then everything was always on discounts. Even though I had 50,000 plus students, the money that I made was almost zero to none. And with that frustration and being restricted by the marketplace and all the things that they pulled and the branding and everything that they also controlled and dictated, I moved back then to Teachable. And then there I was building again a course, but then at the same time, I was on my phone all the time with journaling. I used Day One. For workouts, I used Freeletics. For meditation, I used Headspace. And I was like using for chat, right, WhatsApp and Messenger. I was all the time on my phone, and yet I was building a course on a computer. And then I read that only 4% of most courses on average is the standard I ever completed. So essentially stuff for the drawer, which was the same experience I had at Udemy, where I myself bought courses that I never really consumed. Back then it was like, if everyone is on the phone, like the world is moving to the phone, phones and applications are built for repeat usage. They're on the screen, on the home screen of people, accessible with one touch. Why am I building a course on the web? That doesn't make any sense. So then we started almost as an agency where we work with the first creators on a one-on-one basis. We flew them in and did everything for them. And we did a profit share back then, 50-50. So went all in on operational cost, the flight cost, the bookings, the team, and all of that. I did the post-production, the marketing, and then we launched. And the first launch was, I think, a 30K launch with the yoga creator. And then we had another launch where we made 200K or 188, something like that, in the course of 6 weeks. And then we went pretty quickly into 7 figures. And then we saw, hey, that's really working. And then the demand increased, and we thought, okay, there's so many people, but we only have so limited resources. If we do all the operations with them, we're so restricted by it. What if we actually create a software out of this, which is self-serve and becomes much more scalable, so that anyone out there can actually do it and benefit from it? And then also the 50-50 profit share, actually they keep almost all of the revenue, and we can unlock the next level, the next wave of how to actually share information and educate others, which is through applications. And that's why we essentially pioneered the market. Similar to when Tinder entered the dating market, where it was bloody and crowded, and eHarmony and Match and Meetic, they had all their apps, but then Tinder came with mobile first features, and all of a sudden it took the market by storm. So that's what happened. And then we scaled up from 0 to 500,000, 2 million, 7 million, 10 million, and beyond.
Huge congratulations. What would you say has been your biggest obstacle in scaling to such a big audience?
I think the biggest challenge has been churn. And the reason is, what does it mean? So if 100 people sign up, then after 1 year, not 100 people are still there, because some people are just leaving. Why is that? Because creators almost are like, they're individual business owners. And that means they behave almost like consumers. They're like entrepreneurs, and not everyone is successful, right? Because in the nature of entrepreneurs, most of them are failing when they're starting out. So you have a natural churn where people are not successful. And the thing is, if you put in, I don't know, 1,000 customers in per month on top, but you at some point when you grow further, at some point you have 1,000 people leaving every
Right.
month, right?
Right.
And then it evens out, and you have a ton of people coming and going, and you're like at a glass ceiling. So the only thing how to change that then is to reduce churn. That's also called logo churn. That means more people stay at the end of the year. And second, to actually expand on the ones that stay. So what does that mean? That means that if you make $100 at the beginning, then you would actually, with the ones that remain, you would make more dollars down the road. And in let's say the investment world term, it's called revenue retention and logo retention. So let's say you have 100 people starting, you have 50 left at the end of the year. But with the 50 left, you make more than, let's say, double the money than what you made in the beginning. Then you actually would have 100% revenue retention. And that all of a sudden allows you then to actually scale even with big churn. If you look at companies like Shopify, Shopify has a logo retention. So people that are still there after 2 years of ballpark 20%. So that means 80 people of 100 started leave over the course of the first 2 years. But then the ones that stay, because it's e-commerce, right, where you have big transactions and people have then shops up and running, they make millions there. They actually have a take rate on revenues. It means if every dollar that goes is processed with Shopify payments, they keep a few cents or dollars. And with that, they actually reach 100% revenue retention. That's why Shopify is so valuable.
And so is that what Passion.io is doing as well? Something similar to this?
Like we're still on the trajectory to get there. I think the other companies in the market are as well. Making the payments part really powerful is definitely a key to getting healthier business KPIs. But that's just one element of the platform, which I think is also interesting, which shows that software is not easy because it's a business builder, right? So you have to essentially have a module where you create content. Then you have to have the whole app thing built out, which means making it sure that in a scalable way, the apps can get published with Apple, with Google, also on the web. Then like for the courses, for the community, for the habit tracker, there's all like big features, for example, drip content, push notification, and the whole marketing automation piece. All of a sudden it becomes a very big project, and nailing all of that is not easy. And the payments module is just another block on top, which needs to be nailed. We pump decent 6 figures every single month into the software, which makes us to some extent different than the classical creator business, because a classical creator business would be a net 80% business, meaning that if you make $1 million, you would make 800K margins. 80% of what you make would be margin. In our case, we reinvest everything into the business, which in our case is software. And with that, we want to build an asset which at some point can become the next Shopify. I would say it's not I've never had any business that I built which was a smooth ride. It's just really hard work. Musk always says being an entrepreneur is like looking down the abyss and eating glass all the time. So that's a bit how it feels, but the journey is also awesome and I enjoy it. So it's not easy, but we're getting there.
That makes sense. What has been the biggest surprise for you along the way? Now you're running this big business. You mentioned you hadn't ran a business that big before. What's been the biggest surprise?
Biggest surprise is how important education is in this whole market. To give an example, in the beginning we thought, okay, we need to have more features. And then at some point we realized, okay, like it doesn't have such a big impact on churn and on retention, which is counterintuitive because people say, hey, this and that is missing. And we thought, okay, with that, actually, it should be better. But sometimes this is also just a pretense, meaning that they say something, which is the reason why they leave, but it's not necessarily the reason why they actually leave.
Yes.
And we had one event, which we do every year called Passion Live. We had some creators there. And on the most recent one, what was interesting was there was a customer called Jojo. She made in the last 12 months, $1,000 each month, so 12K. And then we had her in a workshop where some of our experts were working with her on I would say also in parts mindset, because mindset is such a big element of succeeding as a creator. And then what she did in the next 72 hours after the event is she raised her prices. She went into outreach conversations, did the reps, so spoke to enough people and made 12K in the next 72 hours. So the whole revenue that she has done in the whole year before, she made in just 3 days after the workshop. And that had nothing to do with features or with anything. It was literally a mindset and education on how to do the thing that she was been doing for a long time differently.
So some key things I want to actually bring up there is, and tell me if I'm right or wrong here, is you ran a survey and you're like reading the survey, but you're finding that the survey didn't necessarily line up with what reality was. Cause then when you actually literally go and talk to your end user, you get so much more valuable information about what is really missing and how you can help other users of the system.
Yes, that is true. So I wouldn't say like service is not even enough. It's called GDPD interviews, jobs to be done interviews, and experience mapping, where you literally ask them what they have done. Literally, let's say you interview them in a way where you ultimately then get these maps, and then from there you build a problem tree. It's also called an OST, an opportunity solution tree. And these problems or opportunities are ultimately the tree where you have a big outcome at the top, and then you break down all these problems. And for example, let's say you watch a video or a show and there are ads. And then people say, I want to fast forward. So this is like this, now they come with a solution. And you're like, okay, they want to fast forward. So let's add some feature that they can fast forward. But what the problem actually is, if you understand that deeper, is they want to skip the ads. They're not by the ads in the video. So with that understanding, you have then like this really big tree. You try to understand the problems and focus on the problems. You stay in the problem space for a very long time. And only then, when you really have clear what the problems really are, only then you go into solution mode and you try to do tests on what would really solve that problem. Which, for example, in this YouTube or in this video, in this ad case could be, hey, let's do a premium subscription to go ad free, which then allows people to actually not even have ads and you can make more money with it, which is what YouTube has done, for example.
Okay.
So I think that whole thinking was something that we had to establish in an organization where we're not just listening to customers, but we have a very, let's say, a more sophisticated approach on how to truly understand them, because what they're telling us is not necessarily what the actual solution is, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. And because what the big takeaway is, and I experience this when I deal with my clients as well, which is you always have to understand your customer's problem. Like a lot of people make assumptions about that they know, or I've been in their situation, I know what they're thinking. But it sounds like you have a really structured approach for taking out all of your assumptions or the leadership's assumptions from Passion.io and really just getting it from the customer and knowing what those problems are, and then strategically trying to come up with a solution to solve that problem. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's all about problems. It's all about problems.
Exactly. And to just give an example, you cannot just ask them, hey, what's your problem? Because they quite often, especially in the creator economy, they quite often don't know. They think they have that problem, but is it really the problem? So you have to literally ask them what they have done literally in order to. This is like this very interesting example where I think it was Netflix who tried to decide if they should do live live shows on the main screen. So if you log into Netflix, you have all of a sudden live content, like a football game or something like that. And they could have just asked, hey, what do you think if you show live content, right? Is that something that you're interested in? Because you cannot find anything, so just watch this live thing. But this is less helpful than asking them, hey, when was the last time you watched a streaming service, something on a streaming service? Oh yeah, yesterday evening at 8 p.m. Interesting. What did you do? Yeah, I ordered something like a delivery, Grubhub or whatever it would be called in the US, and pizza came, and then I went to the couch, I switched on the TV, and then what did you do then? Okay, what did you do? What did I do? I switched on Amazon Prime, but I couldn't find anything. And then I decided, okay, let's see what else is there. And then I opened up Disney Plus. And then there I found, I don't know, Merlin the Magician, and then I watched this. So you all of a sudden see what the actual journey of the customer really was. And then again, you can maybe find or come up with ideas which are much better for the main page than just thinking what makes sense, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
So
like those assumptions. Like you just need to know in black and white, nobody putting their thoughts on why they think it is or what they think it is, but what did you do in black and white? And then we can draw some information from that because it's just there in black and white.
yeah, 100%. 100%. There's another really valuable example with McDonald's where they wanted to sell more milkshakes. And they tried everything, like different packaging, different size, different whatever. And they didn't know, like, why is this thing not selling better? And once they then did the experience mapping and they figured out, okay, why are people actually buying this? They figured out that it's mainly people that are commuters. They go in, buy a milkshake. So then when they go on their drive, on their 1.5 hour commute, they have something which they can slurp over 90 minutes and that still stays cold for a long period of time. with that information, you would create a very different product or improvement of the product than not knowing this and just like thinking, okay, do I do a special discount today or whatever? But yeah, they bought it for the purpose of having something which endures for the whole commute, right? So
Yeah. And that's the real problem, not that they just like a milkshake.
yeah, exactly.
I like that, Matt. Can you apply that or give us your best advice? Because we do have a lot of creators listening here, people selling courses and those kind of things. How do you apply that structured process to being able to sell more courses or more programs?
Mhm. It's true. I definitely can recommend doing surveys, especially if you have a big audience. I would say I would do it in two ways. One is if you have a big audience, run surveys and really try to understand what's going on and also interview some customers. For example, we had a launch where it was in the fitness space. It was, I would say, even 8 years ago. And back then we thought, okay, like they just want to lose weight. That's it, right? It's like a weight loss thing. What we then realized is that the lingo, the words that they were using in all these surveys was they want to be sexy, they want to be a queen, they want to be curvy. So all of a sudden, oh, it's not even about weight loss. They were even scared of losing weight in the wrong spots because they wanted to have the hourglass shape. I don't know, like you have idioms for that, but small hip. And then essentially the outcome was that we back then created a product which was called Feel Sexy in Your Own Skin, Become a Curvy Queen, which was the identity. And that actually went completely viral and made close to $1 million in a few weeks.
And
So
it's as simple, I'll put that in quotes, as listening to your customers, using the words that they have used and pushing that back out to them as the solution.
yeah, exactly. 100%. And that's what I would do if I have an audience and I can test things against that audience. If I don't have that, then what I would do is I would do everything that doesn't scale in the beginning. I would speak to likely you don't even have an audience, right? So you don't have anyone. What I would do then is you, let's say you're completely a beginner, right? You in stage one, that means you want to sell actually time for money. You want to work with people very closely to really find out what they need. And what would I do here is I would create my social profiles if I'm really early. I just create the profiles. The profiles are like a business card, like a little CV. So you put in your bio, make a few posts. When people then see you out there on other channels, they maybe check your profile and they see at least that you're not like a bot. And then you follow 20 relevant people, which are on the intersection of where you think you can provide value. What does it mean? I usually would use a concept called ikigai, it's a Japanese concept where you would look for things where you are good at, where it's something that you love, something that the world needs, and something where you can actually get paid for. At the intersection of all these four things is something which the Japanese called ikigai, and that's something where you find your sweet spot in having and providing values to others, right? So by following 20 relevant profiles out there, you can actually see what they're doing and what their audiences are engaging with when you check the comments, for example. So what you can then do is you can do something which I call social hacking. Social hacking means you go into these comments and you start engaging with the people there in their issues and problems and questions that they're having. The big guy influencer, one of the 20 people that you're following, is likely not engaging with the people, with the person themselves, because they have a big audience. They're not going to reply. They have a freebie, a PDF or whatever, and that's it. But
Right.
you can engage with them. So when you engage with them, they will actually click on your profile. They will check you out and they see, okay, you're not a bot and you're like legit. And maybe they're your vibe, your tribe. They see, hey, Jane, she's from Portland. She loves dogs and she is a mother. Is awesome, like me. So let's have that conversation. And then you go into that. And then next thing is you do this DM conversation. Then you go into a call. And here I would do the following. You offer first like free call, 45 minutes, for example, where you give all the value that you can give. You don't have a hidden agenda. There is nothing like, oh, I need to sell, I need to sell, I need to sell. You just give unconditional value. And if that means that you direct the person to something else, to a book that you recommend or anything where you don't have any advantage or benefit of that, that's fine. But you give. Only if you give, at some point, it will reciprocate and you will actually get that back. I think you should have that mindset of giving for 45 minutes. But then if someone actually wants to have more and you maybe can have a good bridge where you say, hey, if that's cool, if you want to do more, then that would be paid though, because also ultimately have that as a product. Then if you're interested in then whatever like that bridge is, then you go into a discovery call, sales conversation where you then close, and then you convert that into a high ticket offer. That high ticket offer should have a decent price point where because you work with this person one-on-one, you can charge a coaching price, which will still feel cheap. So for example, you work with this person for 6 weeks for $500 or something like that, which is, if it's one-on-one and they get their actual problems solved, then this is really cool for the person, because this big name influencer that the person was following is not giving them that. So then you go into that, you will get your first testimonials, you will really understand what's going on with them, what their pain points are. And until then, you have only sold time for money. You have not created a course or anything. Because if you first create a course and you spend like hours and days and weeks and months on it, and then you launch it and you like hit press that button and you hope now you're becoming the millionaire, I can tell you it's not going to work, because you will not going to have any product market fit. But if you start selling time for money, really understanding what these people need, what their pain points are, and then you have this conversations over and over again with, let's say, 10 people, then you can start to transition from selling time for money to selling product for money by productizing all the questions that you get over and over again into a piece of video, into a course, into whatever. And that you do as you go. And that is also we call this the first pancake. The first pancake is always shit in the beginning because you do it for the first time, right?
Mhm.
But then every time when you create and work with them better, you create another one. At some point, it becomes really good. So what do I mean by that is actually, if you are, let's say, if you create your product, right? Think of it more like it's a living thing. It starts from bad, and at some point it will become really
Yeah.
good. It's not something which you start and build fully out in your basement and then just launch. What would be a good analogy here? If you write a book is different. Book you write back to back, then you have proofreading, you do a lot of reviews until you then launch it and hopefully it sells. You publish it, right? And then it's out there and hopefully people buy it and you can of course promote it. Selling a course is almost like creating an Instagram profile. What do I mean by that? If you join Instagram today, your profile is empty. There is no photo on your bio. There is no bio link. There's no post. Yet it's published already. People can take your handle, can go there and can view it. And that's it, right? Kim Kardashian at some point started with an empty profile.
Right.
So you then do your first post, your bio, and all of these things, and it gets better and better and better and better and better, right? But you're live and publish all the time, like to the world. And it's the same with your product. So that means your first pancake, your shitty product is doing a job, but then it gets better and better and you build onto it. So it's a living thing which gets better and better over time. That's why when you speak to creators, they say, yeah, my offers are always changing. I have this new thing now here, and this thing was just relaunched and so on and so forth. It's always in the works and gets bigger and better. So that's the second stage. You go from selling time for money to selling for product for money. You have done your first product, your first pancake. You maybe then at some point think, okay, this is the most valuable piece from that course, and you create a freebie for it. The freebie is important to actually then collect email addresses. And with these email addresses, you can then go easier into the sales conversation. And then you should do your posts, right? Your bio and your profile still looks shitty. You then do 100 posts. This quantity will also lead to better quality. Think Kim Kardashian again. At some point, it gets really good. And then at some point, you have something which sells for itself. So that means you can go on the weekend to the playground with your kid, or you can go on vacation and you will make money while you sleep. But this is the second step. It's not the first step. And then third stage is, and this is now how you take it from, let's say, the 10K, the 50K a month to up to the millions, is you build out that full offer stack. You have that freebie. You also have that higher ticket offer. You have a $7 tripwire low ticket offer. You have mid ticket offers. And you have on the high ticket side, it can go up to 30,000, 60,000, 80,000, 150,000 per client per seat, even up to $1 million per seat. Think Tony Robbins charges $1 million if you want to work with him. You can do that one-on-one. It's just $1 million. And then if you would say you still sell your time on the high ticket side, and let's say it's 30K per seat, you only need 3 people in order to make already 100K on that. And then on top, you have your digital products on the mid ticket and on the low ticket. And then you can scale up to $1 million. So that's how I would do it. That's the second way, where you don't have an audience. You're like really starting out. The steps that I would do to get from 0 to 1.
Matt, you really just laid out exactly how to build a business from step 1. You have no customers, all the way up through selling $1 million offer like Tony Robbins. That's exactly what we talk about here. I feel like a lot of people want to skip that first step and get right to, I want to sell this product and wake up to millions of dollars in my bank account. But there's just so much that they have to do before that. And I think it goes back to the previous part of our conversation with, you have to be working with those clients one-on-one to actually hear their problems, hear how you can help, hear what those pain points are, so then you can actually productize the whole thing so it will work instead of just guessing. I'm going to throw this course out there and cross my fingers that I've got it right, because it never is, as you said.
100%. Yes. And we have launched multiple 7 and 8-figure things ourselves, right? From courses to software. And then also recently I've interviewed more than $200 million creators, people that make $1 million or more with social media. And all of that gave me really good insights, which I want to share to bring more transparency into the market, where everyone out there can just see how are they doing it? How are they creating products? How are they getting customers? How will they scale the business further? What was the biggest mistake? What was the best decision? What's the backstory? Why did they start the business? What made them start? And what was like all these insights into that? And what are the price points that they're selling? And what tools are they using? And all of these things. So yeah, if that's of any interest, milliondollarcreators.club. That's where you find the information. And for the tools, it's passion.io. And we also have there good education, like the Expert Unleashed Challenge. It's a bootcamp, 3 days to make your first 4 figures. And then Expert Growth takes you up to 10K a month. And then the Creator MBA takes you to 100K and beyond.
Wonderful. Thank you, Matt. You mentioned earlier in the interview about competition. Passion.io has competition. We have AI really ramping up and coming on the scene. Can you share with us your thoughts on that? What's the future here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting, especially with AI, right? AI is definitely something which came all of a sudden, but like still everyone right now today in the AI is in the beginner space. So like they use a little bit of prompting here and there. We, for example, created something which is the Creator GPT, where we put all the information that we ever learned in our years of business from all the creator interviews that we have done. We put everything into this Creator GPT, and on milliondollarcreators.club, you have a link there. You can actually ask this GPT a question, and then it tells you what the most successful creators will do. And you on the back of that gives you a very clear plan on whatever problem you have. So I think AI is a companion to help you make better decisions right now. Is I think a good use for AI. And then of course to create content outline for your course. And like these are the basics, like you know this yourself. What I also liked really is that AI empowers more and more tools. So what you really only need out there right now is Canva and CapCut, essentially, as a creator, where you build your stills, your image, and all of these things with Canva. And AI is deeply integrated in there. Remove background is an AI feature. And then with CapCut, also like your videos that you build with that, also there, AI is integrated in that. So I love how AI is actually supercharging most of the tools and just create a much better outcome than before, where you needed before people and whole teams to build something really cool. Now, even more so by yourself, using the right tools, doing the right things, you can do so much by yourself that Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, thinks, and not just thinks, he really believes in, that there will be a $1 billion creator coming that will create $1 billion in value by themselves as a single person in the foreseeable future, which was unheard of before.
Crazy.
Because before you always needed a team and everything, but this is starting to come. Is AI wiping away courses and everything and so on and so forth? I don't know. I'm living in the here and now. I think we are fine actually with using AI. It can supercharge us. It can make us more powerful, but we have to adapt or we die. I think it's a big opportunity for the foreseeable future.
And just going with it, because we don't even know what's happening. Yeah, it's moving so quickly.
It is 100%. Anyway, it's still not there. If you think like all these tools, like video AI, Opus Pro, in order to create from your long form content, AI generated shorts. Yes, yeah, they're okay, but they're not great. And I think if the dream is now you could just have to click one button and then all of a sudden AI does everything for you and become $1 million creator just by clicking a button because AI now does the whole thing for you. I still don't believe in that. I think still you have to be on your toes. You have to use AI in a smart way, and otherwise it's not going to work. So you have to, I think this is interesting, right? Like one of the biggest epiphanies I also had in this whole journey is that becoming a successful creator or being an entrepreneur is the ultimate pill for personal development. There's nothing where you have stronger personal development than building your own company, because you go through so much shit, so much pain, that this ultimately leads to like you are a function, the business is a function of yourself. So Joe Dispenza would say your personality creates your personal reality. If your personal reality is shit, then you have to change your personality. And being an entrepreneur gives you that feedback loop, if you of course are aware of it, to listen, to work through all the pain in order to grow And if you know how to make $1 million, it's easy to make $1 million. You can just do it. If you haven't made $1 million yet, that's just because you don't know how to do it. But that's something where on this journey of personal development through entrepreneurship, you can actually get there.
Yeah, we share that. I always say your business is a mirror, basically. It's a mirror of yourself. How you feel about yourself, how you feel about your prices, how you feel about your value, how you feel about everything, really.
And that exactly, and that goes back to this confidence topic where we call this internally like digital confidence, where people are quite often they don't have the confidence. They're like, hey, I don't want to charge high prices. I want to make it accessible. You want to make it accessible for everyone. But the thing is, to really make it accessible, you have to charge prices, because then with these funds, you can reinvest it into better product, into more products, into a team, into just taking it to the next level to serve them at a higher level. Yeah. And yes, you will have an offer stack of also lower price offers that makes it more accessible. But if you only sell for $7, you're not going to get anywhere. So making it more accessible is actually by also charging higher prices. But to get there, you need to have that mindset. And based on how we have grown up and all of these things, it's not so easy, which actually is a really good connection to this whole personal development thing, because passion actually comes from the Latin word passio. Passio means to suffer or to endure.
Interesting.
That means it's not this, oh, cool, my passion is golf and I'm having a good time and so on and so forth. No, if yes theory or seek discomfort, that's a thing. Passion is a whole nother level, because it's the consistent pain and suffering that you have endured in your upbringing, from the very first steps where you came out of the womb. You couldn't walk, you couldn't eat, like you would have died within days if you would not have been taken care of. And then you have that strategy in your early life where you do anything to belong, to be worthy, show that you're like this person that can contribute. And we all deal with our own dragons there, where, yeah, but she betrayed me and he betrayed me, and mom said this and dad said that, and that's because of this and all of these things. So lots of stuff happened, and we have 8 billion unique stories out there. And the guy with the most hardcore story is Jesus Christ. That's also why it's called the Passion of Christ. That's why it's called the Passion of Christ.
Interesting.
And with that, if you look at Mahatma Gandhi, if you look into Mother Teresa, all of these people, extreme suffering, extreme passion, in order to get to this ultimate life-changing, world-changing result, right? So my point is, everyone has a passion by definition. Because you're alive, you have a passion. And the question is, are you aware of your passion? And your passion can be the biggest fucking victim thing that holds you back, because she said and got betrayed back then. That's why I cannot do it. That's why I want to make it accessible for people. And that's why I'm here, like socially, I just want to give, but I cannot take, whatever it is, right? But if you become aware of it, it can become your greatest weapon, your greatest opportunity, your greatest gift, in order to change and impact the planet in a way that is so beautiful that you will become not just a millionaire in terms of wealth, let's say, but you will have a life-changing impact on people. Money will follow in the 7, 8, 9, 10 figures, whatever that is. Find your passion is not out there, it's inside you. And with that, you can ultimately crush it like many others have. But you have to become aware, develop yourself, and go on that journey. And entrepreneurship is the right track to unlock all of that.
Wow, said. What a great way to end this interview, Matt. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I appreciate that. Thanks for joining us today. Before I let you go, thank you again for your time. I'm going to turn the time back over to you. One more time, tell us how to find you and anything else you want the audience to know.
For tools and education, passion.io. If you want to have the insight, the real business insights, and all the $1 Million Creators, go to milliondollarcreators.club. You will also find the Creator GPT there, which helps you to make the right decisions. It's all for free, the milliondollarcreators.club, and passion.io is not, right? Like you can try it out, but then at some point it's a software, we have to pay the bills. But go ahead, like it's going to be the right decision. You will get a great return of your money if you do the job and go through the programs. If you don't, then you won't succeed, right? But if you do, 80% of people that go through our Exponential Challenge make 4 figures. 80%. Yes, you just have to do it. You just have to do it.
It's self-control, guys. You just got to go through the recording.
Exactly. So passion.io for the tools and education, and milliondollarcreators.club for all the interviews, all the tools, all the books that the successful people are reading, using. And with that, you should all have all the information at hand to just crush it. And the database is completely for free. So steal it.
Thank you. Thank
take
you,
it to the next
Matt.
level.
Sure appreciate all the value you brought today's interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Millionaire Maker Show with online business consultant and creator of the Millionaire Maker Funnel, Lindsay Anderson. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Until next time.